I want to talk to you about the your intuition. So, like, sort of out of 10, what would you consider your abilities with your own intuition? Like, how do you sense yourself as an intuitive person? Like, are you 10 out of 10? You're like, okay, my spirit guides are talking to me all the time. I'm getting a ton of information all the time. I feel fully switched on and, fully engaged with my intuition. And then maybe you're like a 2 out of 10. You're like, oh, in emergencies, I always know what I shouldn't do, but I don't necessarily know what I should do. And so one of the things that I find that, like, oracle decks or tarot decks or anything like that, really gives people sort of more information about their own intuition, because the cards don't tell you yes or no. And they don't really give you any specific information. Like, sometimes, like, it was funny, I had this card that was coming up over and over again, and I was like, oh well, and it was kind of a card about, like, somebody's not telling you the truth. And then later I was like, oh, that's interesting, I did find out who wasn't telling me the truth. And so that's one of the things that I think is so really probably the biggest thing, is your own intuition is going to give you information about your business.
Jennifer,
And so,
thank you for asking if we had questions. And I know
yeah,
that
go
you
ahead.
have some tech challenges. This is Ranchelle, by the way. And so it was interesting when you started the show, you talked about this deck is for this. So like you said, you brought the fairies out. It's usually for your personal and you're going to use it for business. And so now I made a connection that maybe isn't there, but do you have a purpose for each deck? Do you set the purpose, or do you ask the deck what its purpose would like to be?
Oh,
How
what
did
a
you come about
great question. That is a great question. Yeah, so the decks themselves tend to give me the information about what they want to engage in. So I usually have a deck sitting with me when I'm doing my show. And so I'm following the energy of how the show is going. I'm a natural channel. I have been getting messages from spirit since I was a tiny little person. And luckily for me, I grew up in a faith where they didn't separate you from source. It was like anybody could get a message from source.